All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal Emac. You're getting double duty today. You got me for the NFL show. Let's see what happens there. We've got Houston with the early halftime lead there against the Chargers, and we have a fun NFL or fun NBA slate coming up today. 2 games locking at 7, 6 games locking at 8. That's it. This is my former co-host Matt Bellman. This is what I would call the Bellman slate because he loved it when everything was consolidated in a very short window, which does make things fun. Though we have a little bit of a break since there's only 2 games here, locking at 7. So I will abandon my lineups if need be in order to get everything done here because it's only money, Chris. It's only money. How are you? How were the holidays? Did Luka get any Doncic gifts? Shall I say?
He did not get. He did get a basketball. He got a Spider-Man basketball, which he was very excited about. Unfortunately, me, the genius, I'm like, maybe I should have given this to him for his birthday as myself to get the credit for it instead of Santa. But B, because we then had to go outside in 30-degree weather and shoot in our hoop, and he can't even hit the rim yet. You get it close, but he's not there. So it was just the worst of both worlds. But he enjoyed all of his gifts. So that part was good, and had a good Christmas with the wife's family. So what can we complain about here with another NBA slate and hopefully some good things in our lives? Whether it is that, or I always say there's bachelors out there too. I know Emac blissfully married as well for many years. Did cute couple things over the holidays. For you guys out there that are bachelors too, that just got Chinese food and hung out and drank some beers, that's also pretty cool. I've done that in the past too. I think it's nice to have all things that make you happy, whatever that might be.
Those were the days. Those were the days. Yes, we were quietly in bed. Let's see, Christmas. I was in bed before the first quarter was over of that final game when Jokic carried my teams to victory in overtime. Unbeknownst to me, I woke up to money. I was like, oh, it was a Christmas miracle. So, my God, 12 and a half hours between tip-offs from the first to the last game. Too much.
Yeah, I was had a lineup that ended up top 75 or top 85, I think it was. And I was I had tuned out for the night because I'm I can't be up anymore. This day has been long enough. So yeah, Jokic put up 100 and whatever points. Well, that'll do it for you most days. And maybe that'll be the case again today, though. It won't be the late night hammer today. It will be one of those early games that Emac mentioned.
Yes. And you won't be able to win tonight unless you place a game on the last game of the night. I can confidently say that today with 75% of our player pool qualifying for that status here. We've got, before I forget, I want to mention that this ends tomorrow. We have promo code GIFT gets you 20% off any DFS package. Promo code GIFT. You want a week of NBA, you got it for 20% off. You want the rest of the season, 20% off, you got it. You want the full shebang, 20% off for a whole year of everything, you got it. That's promo code GIFT, but it does go away tomorrow. But for now, it is the gift that keeps on giving. All righty, let's get back to this screen over here. Some injuries, and I apologize. I just posted the NFL showdown information there over on Tails, Chris. I promised the earlier show if I got up to 325 followers on Tails, I would make that content magically appear. So I've been scrambling since that show ended to write that up, but I have that done. So for those of you that are not yet on Tails, you definitely want to check that out. We got a ton of free content over there. Let me share the screen here so you can see how easy it is. So you can see all sorts of contributors here are providing things. You can look at our picks feed. You can see who you might be following. You can see I'm following a bunch of folks here. You can go to the Explore tab. Even if you're not paying anything for any of the premium subs, you're going to see a ton of content. We have over 200 contributors here that are providing well over 200 to 400 wagers a day. That's just in the free section. Hey, look, there I am. You can get me for all of your DFS content that you need. This is where I'll be hosted now. But it's easy to sort for people. If you're, for example, if you want to find my content, you can just sort on Emac. You can choose to follow me if you want, or you can just filter by me, and then you'll see all of my articles here. And I post them in modular format, so the same articles you guys are used to, but I am putting them in reverse chronological order, so they will appear like a normal article for you guys. And then I do a summary page. So if you want to click on any of the other pages, you can get to that information very easily, very, very easily. All right, let's look here at our injuries. So starting with the first two games, we have all the information we need save for the starting lineups. We do know that Denver is missing the usual guys. That would be Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. We have Jalen Suggs out again for Orlando. The Wagner brothers remain out, but now we have Goga Bitadze out as well. So Orlando's running a little bit thinner. This game is in Orlando. Denver is favored by 4, but we'll talk about some potential options, to look to there. In the other early game, we know that Ryan Dunn is out. Grayson Allen remains out. We do have Zion Williamson in. I don't know if he's going to start or not. I think he's come off the bench most of the time since he's come back, but at some point they'll have him starting. And then we know that, surprisingly, Mark Williams is in. Normally he doesn't play on these consecutive days. So that is the early part there. I need to get a cough drop here, Chris. So what are you seeing in these first two games?
Yeah, the first game's, I think, pretty cut and dry. It is important to note, though, of course, is our pal Eric Lindquist will always state the czar of late swap is a phrase I'll coin for him right now. There's a late swap kind of slate potentially here because we have Q tags on Şengün late, Q tags on Giddey late. So if those guys are out, obviously two biggest scorers, highest usage guys on their teams, it would really materially impact the slate. So keep that in mind here. But yeah, the first two games rather overall, I feel like we know what we need to know for the most part. The big decision to me really comes down to Denver's side. Denver 119.5 implied points here, not a bad total. Going against Orlando. Do you play Jokic? Do you lose that flexibility right away? Field's going to be there about 21% right now in stochastics data. But sim-wise for me, I didn't get him in the sim with pretty aggressive projection from my end overlaid into stochastic sim. So I think it's one of the key decision points right away, Emac, is that you have to decide, if I'm going to go with Jokic now, go with the bird in hand that I know will likely give me 65 points, or do I want to have flexibility later on to maybe swap to a bunch of Bulls, a bunch of Rockets? And for the Rockets in particular, Steven Adams will probably be one of the better value plays on the slate if you get Şengün out. So having one center spot going to Jokic, that does sort of make it a little bit tougher to get to Adams potentially. It's a lot of big decisions to make. So I think Jokic is great, Emac, and I think when I get my final numbers in, I'll probably be closer to the field. But yes, stochastic sim did not give me a ton of Jokic, and that's sometimes that happens.
Yep, and we will be running sims on here. One of the other key pieces of later news, we are expecting to see Giannis Antetokounmpo play tonight. Decent chance Josh Giddey misses that game. Greg Ehrenberg put out an early same-game parlay with 4 legs from that game. You guys got to follow him on Twitter. All of his content is free as well, and he has just been scorching hot, white hot, if you will, supernova on pretty much any format he is playing. But we'll see what happens with Giannis. Can't really get too excited about him after an 8-game layoff. Hard to expect more than, 28 minutes. Let's see what Stochastic has. We have it for 26.7, so right in the realm of respectability there. But, Milwaukee is nothing without him. And he's their trade chip. If this is going to happen, I think they'll take it easy with him.
I don't think they're nothing without him. I actually think the Porter Jr. Rollins thing, which they have split up now, they're not playing them together as much as I thought was the most fun configuration. They are in the second half, but not starting together, generally being a little more segmented. I think Milwaukee would be fun if it weren't Miles Turner absolutely dogging it too, because he's mad that he signed to be there with Giannis. And you could see it, he's literally thrown tantrums in game a few times. I really, one of my least favorite players to watch here has been Miles Turner. But I think too, if he were trying, I think even the little guard version of the team would work, and Portis has been okay. They're definitely not good, but I think they should be feistier than they are. But when you have that, the Giannis sort of Damocles hanging over you, it's a little bit tough for these guys to get going for sure.
Sort of Damocles, one of my favorite, I don't know, that's an idiom, saying, shall we go with? Always good. A lot of people don't know what that is. It's the sword of Damocles hanging over your head by a single thread, threatening to drop if you don't do a good job of telling the truth, essentially, is what the fable says.
Yeah, I like the expression too. I think the metaphor, the visual of a sword hanging over your head, I think people get that. But I guess people wouldn't know if they know Sword of Damocles but don't know what the actual thing is. But yeah, literally, a sword hanging over our heads would be that. So I appreciate you taking people back, Emac. It's not just fantasy knowledge you have. Sometimes it is Greek parables that you bring to the table.
And I was hanging out with some of the best of them back in the day, Aristotle, etc. So
take the joke yourself. That's a smart move.
You get there first, and nobody else has the power. I learned that from Eminem on 8 Mile. Just saying, Rabbit. He was pretty good. He was pretty good at anticipating. You know, that movie is what, 27 years old or something like that? That's crazy.
Am I really? I felt like a 2000s movie to me, but
oh, that's fair. 24 years old.
Yeah, close enough.
Ish. All right, let's look and see what else we have for tonight. Kristaps Porzingis still dealing with that mysterious illness. Some would say long COVID, some would say something else. But he is not playing today, nor is Josh Hart or Miles McBride. Miles McBride's been out for a bit, as has Landry Shamet, but that just sort of thins things out. And Atlanta is a fun team to go against. Trae Young is back. He has seen his minutes tick up. I'm guessing he will be in the low 30s tonight. Let's see what Stochastic has him for. If I can spell Trey correctly. There we go. 32, almost 33. That's about what his normal is, unless it's a closer game, and then he gets up to 36. So he's almost back to full run. That is good to see after his 4 games back. Jalen Johnson, always, he has definitely made the leap. And then the only other stuff we're waiting on, you already mentioned Şengün, but the Josh Giddey, Giannis, and Gary Trent stuff. So let's kind of look at this buy position here. Let me give this a quick refresh. It looks like we got an update just after 6 o'clock. I'll flash later the FanDuel stuff, but we'll focus here on DraftKings for the moment. Up near the top, we have a discount dandy in Dylan Harper going against Utah, who's doing the best they can tonight to mail things in. With Ace Bailey, Kevin Love out, they do have Nurkic and Markkanen in, but they're looking to lose this one and lose it handily. What are you liking here? We've got a couple cheapies up at the top here, or point per dollar players, shall we say.
Point per dollar players on the slate. I mean, I think obviously hard to argue Dylan Harper in particular. No De'Aaron Fox. Really, that's the biggest thing for Fox and Castle at this point is that you take, or excuse me, for Castle and Harper is that you take Fox out. And really any of that combination too. Like if you have Fox and Castle with no Harper, if you have Fox and Harper with no Castle, it helps out the other guys because of the fact that those guys are splitting so many minutes. But in particular, the rate increases for the Spurs guys overall should be big enough that they'll grade out really well, in particular Harper. And you can see with Emac's data there on the screen, I have to pull in the updated stuff as well for myself. But Dylan Harper was projecting for around 50%. I'm getting above the field on that. He's been averaging 1.1 fantasy points a minute. Good score, 25% usage as well in the year, 27% assist rate for himself. So really the kind of guy that benefits from not having a lead guard out there, a guy who'll eat up a ton of usage. I like De'Aaron Fox, and it also helps out too that you have Wemby on this minutes limit where Mitch Johnson, the coach, recently talked about the Spurs not going to back down off of the minutes limit at all. They're going to be married to what it is. They're not going to give him 30 minutes all of a sudden. So expecting to be around 24, maybe 25 if you get lucky is your best outcome. That does help out guys like Castle and Harper up top in terms of being better options because of the fact that Wemby also won't be out there as much as he normally would. So Spurs look great, but I think Harper to me, very easy, obvious value. And the only way we get better value than him would be if, we get Şengün out and Adams is going to be starting.
There's no chance you would be playing Wemby, right?
I don't think so. I mean, he's not getting owned. So I wouldn't get that as a fail safe against me not projecting him too well, but I have him as a 4.1x value. And I always say a lot, I think people are still, the old DFS rule of thumb is you only want to play guys that are 5x values in NBA DFS. I don't think it's like that anymore. I get guys sometimes that are 4.4x, 4.5x, 4.1 is a little bit hard to get to, especially when he is, 11K. So I don't see it. But if he got 10 blocks and the 25 minutes he plays, then he'd probably pay off meaningfully. Just don't think you can expect that.
All right. We got a good guard question here. Also, I just dropped a link to a $2 3 max 100-person contest on FanDuel. Win that with the Stochastic avatar. Tweet at me, tweet at Stochastic HOF, and I'll get you a full week of free all-access sims. That's in honor of Malakar, who has been on a heater since his birthday. 3 significant top finishes there. He is 3 different 4-figure wins. Shout out there to Malakar. He is dialed in with these stochastic tools. So if you guys, you don't want to use promo code GIFT, that'll get you 20% off. Why don't you check out a chance to win this contest on the cheap? Basically, I'm doubling first prize by offering that deal there. It must fill to run. Last time we did this, we got to 99. We didn't get 100th entry in there. So come on, let's fill this up. Malakar, rouse the people if you're in chat. Get them into that contest. So Jacob Cayusa, I know I butchered that. My apologies. Is saying, hey, no Tyler Kolek. He got some decent run with Hart out. So we do have Kolek coming in a decent fantasy point per dollar option. 4K on DraftKings. That is helpful. Point guard only. A nice leverage rate. That's a little bit higher than I would have expected. What are your thoughts there on Tyler Kolek? Because he did put down a monster there on we did when Brunson was out, but then he also worked his way into some winning lineups on Christmas with his what was like a 37 fantasy point performance. What do you see here from Kolek?
Yeah, I mean, because that second half, I mean, Hart was, I think, banged up in game there. He got a few less minutes as a result. They had to go to Kolek more. I think Kolek not being a chalk play is a good thing for him. I actually have him really well projected today. I have him for a little bit higher than Stochastic at 27 fantasy points. They're at 23.3. With Kolek, though, the big thing is that those minutes are not secure, I think is the biggest thing when you have Josh Hart out. Like, Kolek can fill in, but if, let's say, Mitchell Robinson's running hot, if, one of the other guys that's not Brunson Towns, Bridges Anunoby is playing well, they could take minutes away from him, I'm pretty sure. But Kolek's been good. I mean, I don't know if he's been quite as good as the numbers have been lately, but 0.94 fantasy points minute overall in the year. Accounting for the matchup today, who's left, it's a nice total going against Atlanta. I'd have him closer to 1.06 today. He does get a little bit of an uptick in assists and usage with Josh Hart off the court. So I don't mind Kolek, but I think if you're like putting him in a bunch, I think that would probably be an error too, because like he's just not guaranteed to get full Josh Hart run. If he were starting and we knew that, I would feel a little bit better about the situation that he might just fill in or take those Hart minutes, but they could easily go back to Robinson starting if they wanted to. They could start Clarkson, I suppose, and he could also get hot and be the guy that closes the game theoretically. So I think Kolek a good play, but not a smash player by any stretch. And I think Stochastic data too just makes him look a little bit more like a normal guy, whereas I think I'll get him more because my projection's kind of elevated.
Yeah, and that's one we'll circle back. So if you had dropped that super chat prior to the latest refresh, he went from basically not really showing up on FanDuel to what I have here on the screen, up to 10%, 11%. So that's a bit of a jump, and then we'll go back here to DraftKings where it's sort of similar. So let's keep tabs on that, because that could be an interesting way to look at things. But we sort of talked about the higher, the more popular players. We got a whole bunch of people just coming in, what I call neutral, right? Anything kind of between 15 and 20% is neutral, in my opinion, here. But the potential for better performances come from Devin Booker, Colin Gillespie. Those guys have attainable upside there, especially with Grayson Allen out. They're going against New Orleans. Most teams today are on back-to-backs because almost everybody played yesterday. Jalen Brunson against Atlanta is intriguing. Anything else you want to hit on while we wrap up the point guard position?
No, I mean, I think with the point guard position right now, nobody seems like a really elite pay-up option there. You have Porter Jr. We know he's got upside, but if Giannis is in, that's going to greatly impede the upside a little bit more. Brunson, I think, always has the ceiling, but he is really expensive now at 9,300. Another good total against Atlanta. Like, he might be a nice tournament play, but the field's kind of already there, 21%, so I'm under on it. Jamal Murray, I'm always willing to get to. I think like he's been playing really well, and because of the fact there isn't those ancillary options for Denver now, because you do have Cam Johnson joining, Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown out. Murray's been picking up some of that slack. He's been good all year, also in general. So I think he's a guy that's kind of appealing, but really point guard to me is like Dylan Harper, by a landslide, really. And then, Nembhard too is coming up a little bit above the field, but I think Harper's just the runaway best play.
All right. You took my love. You took it down. I climbed a mountain, and then I turned around. I saw my reflection in a snow-covered hill. That landslide, Chris, brings me down. You said landslide. I have to start throwing out Stevie Nicks there. This is like Cartman when he hears "Come Sail Away" from. No,
I was confused what I said to set that off. Also, we did get the same time Şengün out, so that's gonna change everything.
That will change
things.
Şengün is out. Josh Giddey is in. Khalil Ware is in. We're gonna see some movement here. We're gonna let all of these machinations come through here, and we're just gonna continue talking through things, and we'll see as the dust settles where we land. But Going over here to shooting guard to look at anybody that we did not cover here. Stephon Castle is appearing. Jaime Jaquez looks like a nice fantasy point per dollar play. Norman Powell, always worthy of a dart throw here and there, especially with Adebayo and Hero out. Champagny in the mix. What do you have here at shooting guard?
Yeah, shooting guard for me, not the greatest position in the world. I did not get any of Ant and Donovan Mitchell today. Just don't think the projections are really there. But, certainly at 2% ownership, 3% ownership for both those guys. That's really the kind of ownership, especially for Mitchell, I feel like he always wins tournaments on. And versus Houston, not your ideal Donovan Mitchell matchup, given the guys that could throw at him for defense. But, it's Donovan Mitchell. He can shoot his way through anything. So I'm not there, but I do think they're kind of compelling to see at not much ownership. But again, Harper is point guard, shooting guard. I'm getting him at shooting guard as well. Stephon Castle, I am with the Fields ownership, and I think it'll be a little bit higher when I rerun stuff now that we can afford paying for him a little bit more easily, with Adams coming in as a value play. Norman Powell, a guy that I defended yesterday. Chat was like, how can you trust this usage-heavy player? It's like, that's what he does. He gets points. He also did contribute some rebounds, steals in that game. I think that he is a better player right now than people realize. He was, honestly, last year of the Clippers, but the rate increase, no Hero, no Bam Adebayo in there, I think is still noteworthy enough. They're facing Indiana, who's not a team we're terribly worried about. It's not as good of an environment as it was yesterday for Norman Powell, but it's not too far off. So I think he's a good play. But the San Antonio guards, I think, are my key guys here. Castle, Powell. Besides that, Gillespie, Jaquez. I think those are my kind of core.
All right, that makes sense. I see a few people know Guitar Z-Man, our resident music expert. He appreciated that. Probably not the rendition, but the Landslide is like one of the most covered songs of all time. Simply has to be. All right, small forward. Let's take a peek over here. A lot of repetitiveness with the multi-position eligibility finally creeping back into DraftKings. It had not been there for a while. Now we are loaded with it. Jaquez, Powell, we've already hit on. You got Tari Eason here, always reasonably priced. Kind of capped at, 24-ish, 25 minutes. Otherwise, he spontaneously combusts into some sort of injury, but he does have good per-minute numbers. Do you like him at all with Şengün out of the picture
now? Small Eason. Forward. Sorry, did I cut you off, Emac? I thought you
were. No, Eason, just in case you didn't hear me.
Oh, yeah. Eason, definitely going to be a player that matters a lot. I mean, I was already getting him at 40% of my top 150. He was too cheap at 4,500 for a guy who was going to start most likely. But now you take that Şengün usage, rebounds, all that stuff off the slate, and that's going to be something where Tari Eason should benefit a good amount. A tough matchup on paper versus Cleveland still, but frankly, not as tough as it used to be. So I think that for Tari Eason, he's good chalk. I was getting Norm Powell still a good amount, as we mentioned, at small forward. And again, people in the chat saying like he was highly owned. We're talking about the show yesterday where everybody was shitting on Norm Powell on the show yesterday. So I'm not talking about the field for my Christopher in the chat. Fell Christopher, not supporting a Chris. We hate to see it. That said, for small forward, Dylan Brooks is the guy I'm getting a lot of. He sucked so bad yesterday. We're in the same match again today. I do feel like he was impeded a little bit by, number one, he shot 1 for 7 from 3. Number two is that we did see Dylan Brooks also kind of cede some usage in that game to Mark Williams. He went nuts, literally throwing passes off the backboard to himself as he's abusing the Pelicans. So I think that getting Dylan Brooks back to where he's been on the year, about a 30% usage rate guy, a little bit less than that. And a guy who also, as we talked about yesterday, your per 100 points numbers right now for Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks, it's not that far off. Both guys around 35, 36. So for Dylan Brooks, I think he's worth that exposure. But things are going to move. I think Eason will look even better now, so he may kind of mute my Brooks exposure. But I think Powell and Eason will be my top guys, and then Brooks the more contrarian option.
All right, we just got word that Champagny is going to start tonight. The Houston Rockets going with Thompson, Durant, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, and Steven Adams. So Adams with the spot start here. Let's quickly take a peek here.
You got a projections update too if you want to refresh.
I will get that in there. How are you feeling about Adams? I bet we have him 27 minutes. Shit, all of a sudden that becomes exciting. Ownership will update. You guys can see on the timestamp here that has not come through yet. But how are you feeling about Mr. Steven Adams here going against a depleted? Oh, wait, Evan Mobley is back. I'm all lost because I didn't play. I played one lineup yesterday. My wife and I went out to dinner. I was telling Chris before the show. We went and saw Stomp for a late afternoon matinee, and then went out to a nice dinner. I didn't get home until 8 o'clock. So I'm all I played Christmas And then there's some missing time here. It's like I'm in an X-Files episode, and here I am today. So,
I definitely can relate to that. It's one of those things where me doing content every day for NBA has become, a spot where you're a little more tapped in when you're like constantly obsessing about it and you take no days off, but it also, your mental health, not great. Also, Wemby starting apparently. So chat's saying at the very least, I presume that just came through one of the Twitter handles. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But for Houston, I just pulled in rates, also pulled in the stochastic minutes. Steven Adams, stochastic has a 27.1 projection. I would have him at about a 26.5. He'll rebound a lot. He'll also get a little bit more usage from an assist upside from Şengün being off the court. I think he is a good play, as a value. I mean, he's your best value on the slate. If he were to somehow get in foul trouble or something, Capella is also 3,200. He is also a good play and does project as a decent value. But Adams, if I had to guess, when the ownership does populate in a moment or two here, got to be a 50, 60% play, if not more, because of the fact he's really been a good producer all year anyway, playing a lot of his minutes alongside Şengün at 0.95 face sports minute. Now you're taking Şengün off against the Cleveland team that is not what they were last year. I think Adams is going to be, to me, like a, almost every lineup kind of play.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. Let me change the filters here. We will go back to power forward. Again, we'll hit on all of this. We'll circle back around. 33 minutes to go. We knew it was going to be a little bit wonky because, hey, that is today's NBA here. What do we got? We already mentioned Jalen Johnson now owns the second fastest triple-double in NBA history. Got to do that against the guy who had the first fastest about almost 3 weeks ago now against Nikola Jokic. Andrew Wiggins, Mr. Enigmatic there. Paolo Banchero has been okay. I wish he was getting a little bit more effectiveness, but he is an interesting option there against Denver. Dylan Brooks, a lot of just players to feather in here. There's really a push by the Sims to get Jalen Johnson. So what are your thoughts about him? He has kind of become borderline core play. I mean, he regularly is at a 5-figure salary, even as Trae Young is starting to come back. His minutes this year with and without Young, he's got about I don't have him in front of me, but 1.45 fantasy points per minute. Without Trae, it's about 1.34 with Trae in. That's good to see as well. He's up on pretty much every statistical category across the board for the 5th consecutive year here. He has definitely made the leap to be on that sort of that Cade Cunningham fantasy DFS perspective, if you will, with those 5-figure guys that if everything hits for them, they can put up those 60, 70 fantasy point games. How do you feel about Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, I still think he looks great. I mean, if he's going to be under 10K, I'm willing to keep being there. I need to rerun the sim, but before the Şengün stuff came through, I was getting him in 55% of my lineups. I've had him projected really well throughout this entire process, sometimes uncomfortably too well. That stretch without Trae Young, where he's putting up the 70-point games reliably, I think had only 2 50-plus point games in that stretch. Everything else is 70-plus in about a 5-6 game window. It all looked really good for him. I think getting Trae back in, not great. We are getting this one in Atlanta, but, Trae versus the Knicks, a little bit of a narrative thing there. Wouldn't shock me to see him get a few more shots up. I don't think it's awesome for him to have Trae back out there, but I do think he is still clearly more of the future for this team, as opposed to Trae Young, who's a guy that's been in so many trade rumors lately. I think if they could find any deal that wouldn't just be trading, net negative for a net negative, I think they'd be willing to take it in a heartbeat. So I think Jalen Johnson's role is mostly safe. In that perspective, but it's not as great as it was. So, I'm happy to be above the field if it's going to be at 30%. If half the field ends up there because we can now afford it a little more easily because of having Şengün off the slate and you could use Adams' value to get to a Jalen Johnson, that would spook me a little bit more. But I love Jalen Johnson. He's a great contributor. Like Emac mentioned, a double threat in literally 2 quarters of play kind of stuff for him. And, the scoring upside is still pretty huge as well. So I have no issue with as much as you want to get of him. He just doesn't feel like let's put him in every lineup kind of play like he was in some of these spots lately.
All right. We did have stuff update here about 2 minutes ago. I'm guessing we might get another little update there for Trae Young. We got him in for about 27 minutes right now. I still don't think he's playable. Let me pull up his recent game logs and see if we can infer anything here. And it's such a big salary hit. All the games are going on right now. I think it's kind of getting a little too cute. In his last 4 games, 21.5, 21.5, 23.2, almost 26. We've got him for about 27. Let's call it 30 minutes. everything's going to have to go right for him to get that 50, 55 fantasy point game to get there. Could he do it? Yeah, he's already got one 50 fantasy point game in his limited minutes, but everything has to go right. And he's not playing the Thunder tonight. So does he have motivation without going against Chet Holmgren?
Yeah, I mean, the Wemby stuff, I mean, it's nice to see him getting a bit of an uptick in minutes potentially here, but it's tough for me to take that leap. I would getting, the optimal rate's at 0.3%. I guess if you just want to get to 10%, just in the hopes that he plays more, but like, I still think people will misread. Like the coach wouldn't say like they're not going to raise the limit and then raise it the next day. I think, especially a Popovich disciple coach and the Spurs. Like I don't see it, but maybe somehow plays 30. I think he needs to play 30 to get there though.
Yep, I would concur. We hit on the Steven Adams, but we got Where we've got Nikola Jokic, who is the apex predator at this point. I'm still a little nervous about Mark Williams. Karl Anthony Towns, solid. What are you liking here as we round out the pivot position and wait until we get some updates again?
Center for me does seem like it'll be definitely more of an Adams situation moving forward. I still have to rerun my stuff, but I think he'll be safely for me above the Fields, 47%. Usually the way things work for me, I get more of those value plays and I'm cool with it. Ware has been another great play lately as chalk yesterday paid off totally fine. I did get beat out by Mark Williams, which is sort of what happens when people are forced the same center build, whereas all Diabate, all Khalil Ware, another center beats out one of those guys. That's sort of how DFS goes for people that are maybe souring on Ware because of that. But Ware's projected for 40% ownership as it is. The only thing that would impede that ownership would be Adams taking too much of it. And maybe people aren't going to Ware as much. Maybe they can afford Jokic or Towns a little more easily. Wemby, I suppose, if people go there more than Stochastic expects. But I think it's, to me, Ware and Adams still your best plays. And if you mix in Jokic, I mean, I'll get him in about a third of my lineups, it looks like, in the last run I had. Maybe more than that now with the value opening up.
Whew, that was a lot of moving parts there. While I'm taking a breath here, I'm going to put that link back into chat. We need 60 people to get in this contest here on FanDuel. It must fill to run. It is a three max $2 100-person contest. Let me get that back in there. If you win this with a Stochastic avatar, I will get you one free week of Stochastic NBA All Access Premium. Put that in there. All righty. Let's see what other news came in, if any. The Nuggets starting lineup: Murray, Hardaway, Spencer Jones, once again, Peyton Watson, and Nikola Jokic. No true surprises there. Oh, dear God. Tyus Jones, I just want to say no. Anthony Black, I'm actually okay with. Desmond Bain, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. Remember, no Goga Bitadze. Wendell Carter, as he's matured a little bit, a little less grabby with the hands, doesn't foul out quite as fast, but he is going against potentially the greatest player of all time here. Are we almost ready to say that about Jokic, or does he need to put in another 5 or 6 years? And do you like Wendell Carter?
I mean, I think people probably wouldn't say greatest of all time because you got to win more championships. But I would say in terms of how I view optimal basketball, and and I say a lot of the analytics dorks probably as well, so I don't think I'm alone in this. He's probably the best producer. I don't even know what you call him because would you pick him over Jordan in his prime still, or if we're gonna do that kind of debate? It's a tough question.
Well, here's the thing. Since 2020, he has more points, rebounds, assists, and steals than anybody in that time frame. That's impressive.
Yeah, it feels hard to contextualize. I think is how I feel about it. Even though I love Jokic, it does feel premature to anoint him with something when he's only won one title. But I love him, and I love how he plays, and I love his style. I love his little getting a haircut after the Christmas Day game, wearing his little Taco Bell shirt. He's got fun stuff, and his horses. He likes his horses and beer. Relatable.
Yeah, relatable. That's the perfect word. He's definitely in the he's on the fringes of the conversation already with his bona fides. But I could also see him decide in 5 years, yeah, I've had a good run. I'm okay. I'm going to go do other things. So we shall see. We shall see. All right. Sorry, Chad. I did not mean to debate. This was more, I'm excited that he is doing so well, not trying to throw down the gauntlet of who's the best. And there are quite a few people that have bona fides that are top 5, etc. There's probably about 15 top 5 guys. Well, 15 3 through 8 guys, shall we say. Let's see. How many lineups are you doing tonight? You doing 20 max? You doing 50, 150? What do you got for us?
I just did the 20 max, and I did do 5 into the big tournament. So that's usually my on-stream haul for the sake of sanity.
All right. I am doing a 150 on FanDuel and 50 on DraftKings. So what I'm going to do, I'm just waiting for this stuff to re-update here, but I'm going to, for you guys, run let's do FanDuel. I know, but let's just do FanDuel while we wait for a full fresh update here. We'll see what happens. I'm just curious to see where things come in. FanDuel's actually been doing a little bit better with some of their smaller tournaments, and I like the smaller tournaments over there because it tends to be a little softer competition. I was struggling on DraftKings this year, had a nice last 6 weeks, but struggling for the previous 10 months. Decided to dabble in FanDuel over the I hear my wife yelling at my dog or our dog. Dabbling in FanDuel during the MLB season, and it's kind of become a nice place to go. Check it out. It's always fun to play different sites. And when we're so ensconced in content and not on air up to lock, it's using that knowledge across multiple platforms here is a good way to go. And you guys are not on air up to lock. You have a chance to get in on the Stochastic offer here, 20% off with promo code GIFT. That is any package we offer here at Stochastic. You guys can crack the nut and have some fun and try to take down Malakar, who is now the lobby boss on FanDuel. Okay, Luke Cornett obviously off the bench. Starting lineup for the Spurs: Castle, Vassell, Champagny, Barnes, and Victor Wembanyama. New Orleans is starting Fears, McGowan's, Trey Murphy, Bay, and Derek Queen. I apologize. We can now play Sadiq Bey. There's that one day I didn't want to play him, and he shoved it in my face. But I'm okay with him playing. We know that Aaron Nesmith, that was one of the pieces of information we were waiting. He is going to play. Gary Trent is out. Giannis Antetokounmpo is in. Phoenix not starting. Mark Williams coming off the bench with limited minutes. Zero that guy out. But you've got Oso Iguodaro in there. What do you think about the Bear?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Mark Williams is playing but not starting. I don't see the point in that as much, but I wasn't going to be chasing him today.
Be the 15th man. That's my guess.
I mean, yeah, it's possible, I guess, that he could just not play. I mean, I agree. I would zero him out, but man, he really did crush in the spot yesterday. It's possible at 5,400 he'd come off the bench and still be okay. But definitely, I don't think you want to take on that risk more than 10% at this point, maybe even 5. Just feels like you got to knock that down, because I would worry that the field was going to chase that more than they should have, because it's literally the same matchup on a back-to-back, and you see he's playing. Now he's not starting, and Iguodaro is. I think you take the shot on Iguodaro. I mean, he's not quite Steven Adams value, and you do have Mark Williams and Nick Richards there, theoretically, to take some minutes away if it doesn't go well for him. But, he'll be starting, and he'll be where's his price tag at? Iguodaro's at 3,500. An Adams Iguodaro center lineup would save you a lot of money, allow you to get whatever studs you want around that. So I think that's really the main reason I would consider it. But we did just see again Mark Williams crush versus the team. Iguodaro starting. Still think he gets all the run in the world, but he's a decent value now.
Mark Williams has had the opportunity to play 4 back-to-backs. He has played 0. The last time Phoenix had a back-to-back situation through scheduling clerks was November 28th to 29th. So I lean towards he probably doesn't play, but we shall see. Now my dog is arguing with my wife the other way around.
I can hear that. That one did come through, which is always like the worst fear when you're on these shows, is like, oh, can people hear what my dog is doing in a different part of the house? And unfortunately, yeah, this one's coming through today.
Yes, well, they're arguing because she's putting on her leash right by the door here to my office because she wanted to come in here and be on the show, not my wife. The dog did.
That was a good one.
All right, let's get back here. Let's see if anything's changed on the old data hub. So we should have something coming through here in just a sec. We just got projections. So what I'm going to do is get ready to show DraftKings here. I will do a full sim on that. I'm going to update my upload file for that site here. who do you think is going to get overlooked, lost in the shuffle for the early game now that we have the expected flurry of news here for the 8 o'clock start?
I mean, I think that Jokic's ownership is going to be the thing I'm most curious about when things update in a moment, because you can make the case that it should go up because of people being able to afford it more easily because of having Adams. But, I think there is a portion of the field that will still be like, he's playing Orlando and they have a good defense and they're not a high-paced spot and the total's not fantastic, blow-away good or anything. I wonder if maybe that'll keep his ownership in check, but Jokic is one I'm watching out for. In terms of, there really aren't any values in the early games, I think, so nothing should change that much. I think Dylan Brooks is going to be the only guy that suffers pretty meaningfully for me in ownership, but that's fine because I'll just get him at a more normal number instead of getting him into a ton of lineups. But yeah, the Eason and Adams stuff I think is going to move around the exposures a good amount for me.
All right, let's hit refresh here. Maybe we'll get our wish come true. Not quite. Let's see. I'm going to use this last chance to remind everybody here because we're going to be coming in hot and heavy. But you guys want to check out Tails. You can get all sorts of free content over there. You can see we've got the leaderboards. You can see who's on a heater, who has been consistently grinding it out, who's offering free trials. We have something for everyone. We've got contributors here that specialize in parlays. We've got people that do single game wagering. We have people for specific sports. We have people that cover the myriad of things. But you guys definitely want to check that out. Be sure to follow me, Greg Ehrenberg, Josh Engelman, etc. All of our content will be free. You can follow me, or you can filter on my name, and then you can find all of the fun articles that you guys normally would see on Stochastic. I've got them now here on Tails, but check that out. That is Stochastic Tails. Okay, let's hit refresh one more time here. Oh, we just got the update of everything. You were looking for Jokic, 20.8%. I didn't save it from what he was last time, but feels
he was
like
at 20 before, so he probably didn't move. Yeah.
So he did not move much at all. Assuming it is, we'll just call it 22. Where do you want to be on it?
I think, to me, like at 25 to 33 feels okay. I'm going to rerun stuff and see if it comes a little higher. And if it does, I'm not going to knock it down. I'm always cool getting Jokic. Like, I like him the most as a late night hammer, which I feel like he usually is on every slate, which doesn't matter. Like, it's not like he's a better player because the game's a little bit later in the night.
I don't know. In the last game, he was a better player because it was so late.
And that's exactly why you like having it, because you're like, oh, well, I'm not dead. Like, I had so many lineups where it's like I have a ton of minutes left in PMR, and I had so many nuggets and worked out okay with the Jokic part in particular. But with the first game of the slate, you lose some flexibility. At this point, though, we pretty much know everybody that's in, so I don't know that we need the flexibility. So if I got Jokic at 40% and be 2x the field on him, I wouldn't be mad at it. I kind of like Jokic more, and it's anecdotal more than it is like a data point, but I like him in these spots where it's like he can get in a position against a team that's playing a little bit lower pace, setting up in the half court more, because it just sort of allows him to be really good. It's not that Jokic won't kill versus Washington, hitting outlet passes over and over again. It'd be great if he played Washington every night. I'd play him all the time. I think it's okay too when he's in a spot like against Orlando where he'll at least be in an area. I mean, he beat up on Gobert the other night, obviously for that big day anyway. Timberwolves in general, pretty slow team. So 2x the field for Jokic I think would be okay, but anything 25 to 33. Up to 40, I'd be okay with.
All right. That's kind of about what I'm thinking. So I'm kicking off a 5,000 run here. I set this to one tick in between low stakes and the marquee setting because I am in a mix of tournaments tonight on DraftKings, some leagues, some quints. I'm in the two mini maxes, going after some tickets, etc. That kind of gives me a little bit more of a blend of less top-heavy contests, even though those ticket contests theoretically are top-heavy. A lot of them are, $1 to win a ticket into the NBA, whatever their next finals is, or the upcoming NFL postseason contests, etc. So when you're playing a 25, 30 person dollar to win, a ticket of $25 value, don't go crazy. Don't play a cash game, but don't go crazy. If you play a cash game, you're just handing the rake over to somebody else. Play it like a tournament, but you don't have to get too wonky. All right, running the simulations here, Chris. Going to be excited. We have 15 minutes to go here until tip-off. This is going to be a bang, bang, bang evening, because as soon as we finish with the 8 o'clock lock here, we're going to be turning right into the NFL game tonight. Let's see what we've got going on. Oh, that locks at 8 o'clock as well. I'm glad I checked, because I thought that was going to be like an 8:15 game. So do not get caught watching the paint dry, as Shooter once said in Hoosiers. Do you know the movie Hoosiers?
I have seen Hoosiers. Yeah, I mean that drunk wandering onto the court interrupting games.
Dennis Hopper, yeah, playing himself.
I remember that. That's the most thing I remember. And a lot of white guys that could shoot. That's about the two key things I remember. Shooter being hammered, wandering up to the court. White guys shoot.
That was that classic movie.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting all the point per dollar players we talked about. I'm getting a ton of. I'm good with it.
I'm getting less Dylan Harper than I thought in this run I just got. I only got him at 45%. Kind of thought he'd be a little higher for me. Ware, Adams, Eason, Kolek, Harper, Jalen Johnson. Those guys are a big part of my core, it looks like.
What do you feel about Bryce Sensabaugh? He's been popping up in a lot of places around the industry today that I've been looking at. 4,000 even. Shooting guard, small forward. That's the keys to the kingdom position there on DraftKings. You're eligible for 5 slots. But coming in at 30%, mostly scoring dependent. What do you think about him?
I think he's an okay play. I got him right now in 25% of lineups. I think the price tag would be the main reason to get there. But there's opportunity theoretically with Ace Bailey out. He'll take some of those minutes. I like Sensabaugh more in the time periods where there isn't Keontae George, isn't Markkanen, isn't even Nurkic, kind of hogging all that usage, because that's when Sensabaugh can kind of cook a little bit more. As a guy's got a pretty good mid-range game guy who can also create decently well, grab a few rebounds. But in this spot, he's mostly just okay value. I feel like if you're pairing him with, Adams, Eason, Harper, you're going to be able to be able to afford a lot of stuff. So I don't think it's a super compelling play, only like a 22 fantasy point projection for me. But, you see why you get him, and there's certainly some shots to go around for him.
All right. Who is your favorite play of the night on DK?
My favorite play of the night is still Khalil Ware, I guess. He has been pretty much every night lately, including when Bam was in. Now with Bam out, to me, it's even harder to not get there. If not him, Adams and Eason will be my highest exposed guys, but those three are the only ones I have over 60% right now. Where are you at with that?
I did not have what I wanted, so it killed my 2 worst ROI lineups and replaced them with Khalil Ware and a Bryce Sensabaugh lineup. Okay. So I'm going to get those uploaded. We'll run FanDuel here, but that's and so just what you guys saw. You can do this by putting player caps on. You can do ROI boosts, but sometimes you get a player that you're just like, damn it, I just want to get him in my lineups. Just filter on that player's name and pick one that looks good at a glance is my best recommendation. I do that a decent amount on Showdown. I did that earlier today because I wasn't getting any Jawar Jordan, just because he wasn't going to be owned. So the Sims are saying, we don't really think you want to have that guy. So I just did the same thing, killed my 2 lowest ROI lineups and brought him in for 2. Easton has a 25-minute restriction, they're saying here.
Yeah.
That's about expected. He's still such an efficient player, and at his price point, that's the appealing part of him. I haven't looked at his odds. What does he probably have? Like a 17 PRA, 19, maybe 19 and a half PRA?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that he played 26 last game. So, obviously coaches fudge that a little bit sometimes, but the fact that he played 26 means it's not a hard limit. So I think that's one thing. Second part is he's still under 5K on DraftKings. So he's always been a good producer around a fantasy point per minute. He's a good player, and there's a lot of shots to go around without Şengün. With Eason's rates as well, with Şengün off the court, going this entire year, basically. Eason hasn't played enough of the sample size, only 234 possessions, generally 1,000 possessions where the rates are stable enough that you could say they're predictable moving forward. But he's had 22% usage, 12% rebound rate, 13% assist rate, 1.04 fantasy points per minute. He's a very good producer. So if he's going to play 25 minutes and he produces around 1.04, we're talking about almost a 30-point projection, which will play. So obviously, if he underperforms, you don't want to not be there. But frankly, if the chat's going to be like, oh, he's minutes limited, I can't play him, that only makes you want to play him more, I think, because he's cheap and makes lineups work.
Yeah, so I'm back on. I'm running FanDuel here, but I just showed his PRA at 20.5 at even money. So that's like one higher than I thought, and you're still getting a positive. The thing you want to remember, guys, is he's not having to rebound against Şengün. Yeah, he's still got to go against Steven Adams, but Şengün is a pretty good rebounder as well. So it makes the front court a little more free. Now he's got to go against who are they playing? Cleveland, right? So Jared Allen and Mobley, but. Easton can add in blocks and steals. He's just an intriguing play.
Yeah, and he's got a 27.3 projection from Stochastic too. So like, you do the math, he's still one of the better values on the slate. Even if you're worried about the minutes limit, like that should be the reason you maybe cap the ownership. It's not a reason to not play him or something like that.
Sure. So this is a perfect example. I'm getting FanDuel, Dylan Harper on 92% of my lineups. That feels a little spendy to me. I'll go 70. I got Tar Eason at 53, Fields at 50. I'll put him at 50. I'm totally fine with that. Remember, blocks and steals get you 3 points over there on FanDuel. So always fun. Adams coming in. I'm at 36, Fields at 20 something. Oh, it's a lot of Karl Anthony Towns. Towns does not get blocks, which hurts him on FanDuel. I will be above the field, but I'm gonna just put that at 40%, not 50. And then what am I not seeing? Little Jokic. Let's put Jokic up a couple ticks. Little Durant just for fun, maybe a little Jamal Murray, tougher matchup, but I'll take it. There's Tyler Kolek. We said we were going to come back and look at him. He did not really change at all. Still coming in at 10%. Chris, 10%.
Yeah, I think the people who want to play Kolek will probably play him a little bit more than the data will account for. And I think too, people might chasing, and you got to remember the field's pretty sharp now. They know to look at rotations and stuff, and they'll see that last game with Hart being banged up. Kolek took minutes. Like I mentioned before, though, I don't think he's guaranteed those minutes. I am going to be above the field on Kolek, and frankly, by a decent amount. But like I think if you are a more risk averse person, like I play into my projections, that's what I really like to, that's what the joy of my gambling is, creating this data and seeing how it does. For you guys out there, like I think Kolek, if you got to 20%, you're probably gonna be 2x the field. If you really want to be aggressive and say the field might be a little bit higher than Stochastic thinks, 25%, it's probably enough Kolek, and you're kind of absorbing some of the risk, but not all of the risk.
All right, let me upload my lineups here, and oops, sorry, hit the wrong button, and then we'll see FanDuel lineups, and we'll see what chat has to say, if anything else. Guys, to see you're not getting in on that tournament where I'm giving you doubling the first prize for that Malakar tournament. I'm telling you, Malakar has just become the lobby boss over there on FanDuel. We only get 60 people in this contest, 40 more to fill it. That 12 people, 13 people put 3 in. We got it. You got to try these deals when they last. Let's see here. I want to get to the YouTube chat. Make sure I did not. Oh, here we go. Favorite players at each position. Let's do DraftKings. If it's not DraftKings, please let me know, Thomas Ryan. I'm assuming you play DraftKings.
I'm rerunning stuff, but do you wanna tee us
up
for that?
To the right page here. I can share. Let's share this page so you guys can see it. So obviously I'm going to say Jokic, but that's a little bit spendy. You can offset him by Steven Adams. So we'll just get that out of the way there. I think Tyler Kolek becomes somewhat interesting because he is not being represented, but you want to look, we have him for 23.4 points. Probably more realistic than his 37 or flirting with 40 fantasy points. Doesn't mean you can't get there, but he is still not represented in tournaments, so I wouldn't mind being ahead on that. But I would like Kevin Porter would probably be the guy I'm looking at. I like how you did call out that they're staggering their minutes more, so that gives, while it caps Rollins because he's coming off the bench, it does give each a touch more usage until they join forces for the latter stages of the game. If we go to shooting guard without, I think Porter's probably still available there. We didn't mention Minnesota or Brooklyn at all. Not a single player from either side of that one. I don't want either one of them, but why is Kevin Durant shooting guard now? DraftKings is drunk.
Two separate questions, I feel like. But, I guess you could maybe make the case that he's always been a shooting guard in some way. Going back to Seattle days, he actually had a literal shooting guard.
A stretch shooting guard, if you will.
Yeah.
True answer is Harper's another discount dandy. I think he is definitely a solid play. We saw that he's coming up in a lot of my lineups. I would probably pick him because that is going to give you the freedom to get to Jokic and one other top end player. Small forward. We both talked about why we like Tari Eason. If you're not into Tari Eason, you're a little worried about those minutes limits. I think Chris put out some good stuff for Norman Powell. Jaime Jaquez in a similar spot. Miami is just playing at a ridiculous pace. They have good defense, but because of the ridiculous pace, the other team's getting there as well for DFS purposes. And maybe we see a frisky Pacer squad with the team going against a team without Adebayo or Hero. So that could push Jaquez and Powell. And then power forward, Jalen Johnson, if you're not playing Jokic. Probably if you're going the Jokic route and you already have Tari Eason, I would say, I don't know, Chris. I'm not feeling great about any of them. Maybe Wiggins at 53. Boncaro, if you're feeling a little spicy. What do you have at power forward for favorite play? Non-Eason.
Yeah, so Eason I did get down a little bit more. Getting him at 36% now, so that feels a little bit more in line with what I was going to get to naturally, but I think Stochastic maybe tweaked his minutes a little bit down. But I think Eason at power forward would still be a choice for me. He's the one I'm technically getting the most at the actual power forward spot. If not him, Jalen Johnson. And then Wiggins and Dylan Brooks are the guys I'm getting in terms of players at the actual power forward position.
All right. Good God, tears. All right. There's only 3 minutes left. There's 2 games. All right, we'll do tiers.
I think tiers has to be a super chat.
Yeah,
super chat or a Discord. I don't believe in giving tiers away for free. Nobody plays that shit besides like the 5 you guys that ask every time. No disrespect.
Just seeing, what do we think of Sensebot? Sensebot heavily this is from Discord. Sensebot very point dependent. But remember, last year he won single-handedly back-to-back games in Florida against Orlando and Miami when he got spot starts and promptly got his ass sit for 2 games as they were tanking there for the Jazz. So he has that in his bag. It's very, very, very hit or miss. Anybody getting to Castle or Black? What about Castle Black? There we go. That might be something. See that little callback there for you, my friend. I think those guys are okay. Black ended up on my one Yahoo lineup that I made for my leagues there. Castle, I think, is perfectly fine. He is, God, if he could only convert on his shots consistently, he would be a very well-rounded player. Is he like Ben Simmons 3.0, do you think?
Wait, who are we talking about?
Stephon Castle.
Oh, Stephon Castle. Is he Ben Simmons? I don't think he's Ben. He can shoot. He's a really good shooter. He's a good defender and shooter. I think he's good. I didn't get as much of him as I thought I would say. I only got him at 24%. Castle's one of those guys that my projections, have really weighted pretty heavily because he does get good assists, does gain usage in a meaningful way. When you have, no Fox, no Wemby off the court, he's a little bit expensive for DK. I wanted to get some of it. But I didn't get as much to the field. So kind of surprised by that with how well projected I had Castle over 40 fantasy points. But just didn't get there as much as I would have thought. But Harper, Castle, I think they both have similar opportunities here. They're both great producers. And, frankly, they both should be able to go off here with them being able to absorb, 3 roles into 2 basically with Fox out.
I stand incredibly corrected. I did not realize he was shooting 51.5% from the field, a 56.3 effective field goal rate. That's like 3 standard deviations better than he was doing last year. I learned. I am today years old when I realized he may be at Ben Simmons 5.0. He can actually shoot. He's become self-actualized, Chris.
I think the Ben Simmons comp is not fair or accurate. He's not big and goofy like Simmons was, where he should probably
more
be
he's a defender and he's kind of a tweener at a bunch of positions and he's looking for his way in this world.
He's not afraid to shoot threes either. He's shooting 5 a game. Or no, 4 game this year. I think that threw me for a loop. I was like, are you talking to Amin Thompson? If you're going to compare somebody to Simmons, I think Amin Thompson would be the one I'd be willing to go to.
Via transitive properties, I think the 3 of those guys have a lot of Venn diagram skill sets across each other, but I would think Amin Thompson is closer to Simmons than Amin is to Castle. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to have to watch more games here. I got to quit watching NFL. Prime time. I got to focus more on NBA.
You got too many sports, too many sites to gamble on, Emac. That's your biggest issue. You got to lock in. I do my 3 sports: NFL, NBA, and then MLB at a necessity, just to keep the lights on during this time when those other sports aren't playing.
Oh, indeed. I needed to abandon college football during the bowl season here. I couldn't do it. There's too many things going on, which is a shame because Matt Kajeski has such good content. But one last reminder as we get on out of here: promo code GIFT, 20% off any stochastic package on the site. A week, a month, a year, any sport, all sports, just sims, without sims, whatever you want. That is promo code GIFT. Gets you 20% off. Tomorrow is Sunday, NFL Sunday. It feels a little weird that it's here already because it feels like we've had a week of Sundays with the holiday here. But Chris, it's back, week 17, and we already are seeing shenanigans. Max Crosby is a little angry. He's a little salty with the Raiders there. We've got other people sitting. We've got some injuries. We've got some meaningful games. But starting at 9:15 tomorrow, you're going to get coverage up to lock. That also includes NFL Live Before Lock with Spags and Eric Lindquist. And then you will get myself and Greg Ehrenberg for Sunday Night Football Live Before Lock. Definitely check that out. Chris, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, check out my content. If you want to prepare for NFL Week 17, go check out my @SplashPlayPod channel. You can find my video where I go through stochastic data, I look at some stuff around the industry, build some lineups, do the whole thing. And it is going to be a chaotic slate, but this is our last real NFL slate before the playoffs because Week 18 is going to be the most dumpster fire because literally there might be no playoff spots available after this week. So it's going to be awful next week. But Week 17, still hope, still stuff. Lots of chalky QBs too. So go check that out. And yeah, check out my channel and come back tomorrow, 15 and a half hours. I'll be back here with Eric Lindquist, brightening my day and hopefully yours tomorrow as well.
It will be glorious. Follow me at Tails. Get all my NFL Showdown content there for free. Find me on Twitter. You'll see the links for it there as well at Emac DFS. Follow Stochastic on Twitter. And with that, gamers, good luck.